Well, there's an iconic song if I've ever heard one. We've all heard that intro a million times. That is, of course, The Wait, written by Robbie Robertson, made famous by the band, and then covered by just about everybody you can think of over the years. And there's been some great cover versions. We just watched one on YouTube with a whole bunch of artists mixed together. I'm actually going to link up for you to check out. But Robbie does the intro on it which is kind of a cool little intro. So The Wait is in the key of A. And like I said, I've heard it done a lot of different versions. In fact, I've heard it taught a lot of different ways as well. Some people teach it with a capo on the 2nd fret, which is also cool because you can play it in a G position. But I think I'm going to stay purist on this one and just do it in the key of A. I was just watching Robbie play it, like I mentioned, with Ringo and a whole bunch of other artists, some of whom live here in Maui. John Cruz and Lucas Nelson, Willie's son, are in the video. And so I'm going to break it down. I'm going to start out with the intro, and then I'm going to give you the verse changes and then the chorus. And it's got some cool little walk downs too. I'm also going to give you some connective tissue, which, I call this kind of playing a little bit of a Hendrix style. And we were talking about the importance of rhythm, and this has got like that little wing kind of style, which is that. When you're hammering on up in, like, this is an A chord here. So there's an A here, and then this A here, which is, we were talking about, this is on the intro, of course, the C shape when you talk about the cage system. A lot of times you'll get the E shape and the A shape, but the C shape I think is underserved sometimes. And this particular one, if you look at a C chord, and then you go all the way up here to this A, of course that's the caged version of a C chord. C shape, I should say. But for this lick, we're going to envision there's the A chord. And by the way, I'm going to teach this song in a very simplistic way as well. But I wanted to give you sort of the intro. So it starts out with a hammer on. So you're working off with the D string and the G string. And you're on the 9th fret. You're coming off the 9th fret to the 11th fret. On your D string. When you're coming down on the D and the G string, and you're hitting these 3 notes. Okay, so, but it sounds like this. It's just a hammer on. So I'll take it slow motion for you first. It's that's the whole lick. So I'll take it bit by bit. So the first hammer on is first move, right? On a downstroke. So it's, and then you hit the G string, that note, which is an E note. So it's, and then you got your second finger on that A note. So you're really fingering that version of A. That's an A chord. If you put this one here, we won't worry about that, but that would be the A note, the root note. But we're only, this is called a partial. We call these partials. And this happens in a lot of R&B, rock and roll. So there's that lick. And then a hammer on the G string, 11th fret, from the 9th to the 11th. A hammer on, first finger to third finger. And then you'll pick up that A note, which is the 10th fret on the B string. Okay, so slowly from the beginning. Those are the first 2 moves. Okay. Then the next move is you've got your A shape. You're working off that A shape, which is just like that. And then the next move goes. From the 10th to from the 9th to the 11th fret on the G string. So again, a hammer on. It's a series of hammer-ons. Okay, so you go from the 11th to the 9th. And then you go back to that original position, and you hammer on the D string again, the 9th to the 11th, and then from the 7th to the 9th on the D string. So same lick, same move exactly, but just back 2 frets. And if this is too advanced for you, I'm going to stop right now and just say don't worry about it. I'm only giving you this because it's the way the song starts, and if you want to do it, if you're able to do it, fine. If you're not, that's okay. We can just start writing on the song, and I'll show you how that's done. So once again in slow motion. Sometimes when I don't play it up to speed, it's hard. Okay? And then it goes one last lick. And that's played on the A string, 7th fret up to the 9th fret. Again, same hammer on. So they're all the same lick. It's just this one is the 9th to the 11th on the D string. This is the 7th to the 9th on the D string. Little pattern there. And then the 7th to the 9th on the A string. And you're including, but it sounds like this. And this last lick goes, so it's C sharp, which is your 9th fret on your E string, your low E string. It slides off. Okay, so I know that's a lot, and I hate to jump in with such a difficult lick, but it is how the song starts. So don't even worry about it if you can't do it. It starts out like this. So one more time. Okay? Before I leave this, I want to say there's one other way you can do that lick. And some people teach it this way, some people play it this way. You can come down here too. If you like the sound of that, it's just on the D string, 4th fret, hammer up from the 2nd fret, and then slide off on the 4th fret of the A string. Robbie does it like this, up here. So one more time. That's the song up. So I'm going to show you first position moves first, and then I'm going to show you some other variables, other changes you can choose, other ways you can play that A chord. I was just watching Robbie do it on this, that I mentioned this video that is sort of an all-star video that we're going to link, and got lots of cool people from all over the world playing. So I think for their purposes, just to take the song apart and kind of get into the meat of it, we come down to that after we do our lick, rest on the A. I'm just hitting a regular garden variety A chord. I choose to hit it like this because for me that kind of works in a song like this. So it's A, C sharp minor, and then D, back to A. And one more time. This is the verse feel, right? C sharp minor, D. One more time. A, C sharp minor, D. And then one more time. Dismount, C sharp minor, D. And then it goes to the chorus, which is A, E, D. Take the load off me. Okay? Again. Take the load, A, E, D. Take the load off me. And then it rests on the D. Put the load right on, put the load right on me. Now that walk down can be done many different ways. It can be fancy or it can be kind of simple. First of all, it should be understood that the bass does that walking line. Okay? So the question then becomes, since if you're not playing with a band, how can you accomplish those changes and get that A flat, or A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D in there with your chordal changes? And I'm going to show you what I think is the best way to do it. You could do it many different ways. There's a couple of like kind of stretchy ways like that. But I think that for our purposes today, I'm going to start with an A, and I'm going to use my first finger, and you'll see why in a second. See how I've got my first finger hitting I'm just utilizing the low A, the D, the G, and the B string. I'm not worried about the high E because I've got to accomplish something on the walk down where I go. I like the voicing of that, especially for acoustic guitar, by the way. So it's basically an E with a G sharp, but the way I finger it is I got my A here, and the next move I take my third finger on the fourth fret of the E string, low E string, and I take my pinky and I pick up the fourth fret of the G string. So it sounds like this. Now this again is a partial. We're not doing a big strum. We're not doing. We could, but I'm really emphasizing just the A, the D, the G, and then the low E. Because that's kind of like Tears in Heaven, right? Same thing, same move. Gets used a lot. So in this case, I'm hitting just leading with the A note, and then adding that third finger on the fourth fret of the low E, and jumping on that fourth fret of the G string with my pinky. That's the voicing of that second chord. I really like the sound of that, especially on acoustic for this song. Now the way I like to do the next chord is kind of an easy way to do it, I think. Easy for me anyway. Rather than hitting you can hit just a regular F sharp minor. To me that sounds a little square. I would do it like this. So how does that done? A, and then the E with the second one with the G sharp. And then what I do is I take my second finger and I rest it on the second fret of the low E, and I just take my third finger and just lay it across those three strings, the D, the G, and the B. Okay, and I come down on that F sharp note. Then it goes E, and then D. So here's what it sounds like in motion. Pretty cool. To me, to my ears, especially when you're singing, "Put the load right on me." And if you want, you can add an F sharp on that D. It's an option. It's up to you. Kind of a cool sound. And it kind of goes in the same sort of voicing style as that E with the G sharp. But that's totally up to you. Again, the reason it might not happen on the original with the guitar players because they've already got a bass player going, Rick Danko. And I'm going to tell a little story later on, a little backstory about this song. I had the great pleasure of playing with the band a couple of times with Levon and Rick. And that's another story that I'm going to do a little bit later in the lesson in this kind of fun little thing we're doing on the way. So what's happening where we've gotten so far is we did the verse feel, which was just pull the A to C sharp minor, D, over and over. And then I'd done the chorus. A, D. This is the chorus. Take low. Put the load right on, walk down. One more time. So that is the whole song. You got the intro that we just did. And then you got the verse changes, which you just heard. And then you got the chorus changes. And then, of course, that walk down. Now, I do want to show you a couple of other moves you can do as options. If you want to, or if you're playing with a second guitarist or even with a band, you can hit that second position A, the bar A. I also hit it in another way. I hit it like a partial. Looks like this. Depending, on how many instruments are playing and how much sonic noise you want, but I sometimes will do this little lick. You might have checked that out a little earlier. I did that. I do that as a setup lick in this song. And what I do is I mute the low E and A and I go. So I'm going from an open E to a E2, open A, back to E2, and back to A. And this is a common lick you hear in R&B, rock and roll. So this is just some connective tissue that I'm going to throw in my own version of the song. So, but if you do want to, if you want a different voicing, because maybe you're playing with a guitarist and they're playing the low A, natural, and you want to do something a little different, so you can either go to the A bar or that one. I'm letting the open A ring and just playing that version of A. And then, if someone else is playing this D, you have the option of playing this D, and as long as you're there, that position of D, you can do this lick. Again, this is what I call the Hendrix style, the Little Wing style. It's a real common hammer-on that Hendrix used a lot. And it's part of what was used in that intro. There it is, right there. So if you're in the verse feel, okay, I'm going to do both the low version and the higher version. Now the higher version. D. In my head. Hey, Mr. Can you tell me? And then here's that D with the hammer on. What I'm doing there is I'm starting on the seventh fret, I should say, of the A string, and I'm doing a hammer on up to the ninth. And I'm doing it both on the A string and the D string. I'm going. And now this lick I'm doing here, and most of these licks that I'm throwing in, there's no hard rules on it. It's just I wanted to give you a vocabulary of places you can go in the context of this song, because the song's wide open, right? It's got. So it's cool to go. And here's one more. I'm about to show you one more. That's more of an R&B. You can utilize that too, and that one too. So this one here is you're just doing a fourth, and basically you're hitting the E and the A note and sliding it up from the 5th to the 7th. And then if you want to do the hammer-on version, you can go. And by the way, I do a whole lesson in this kind of stuff, which really, if you study that lesson, I call it like the Hendrix, I think I call it like the Hendrix style licks. But if you study that lesson, I take it apart slowly and show you how you can utilize these licks in a song like The Way. It's really cool to get fluid in the... See how those licks go really well with this kind of groove. So once again, this is a high A. I wouldn't go up to this. You could that C sharp, but I think this song really likes this C sharp here, C sharp minor. That's the voicing of the song, but it does like this D. I've seen Robbie do that, and I've seen him do the, and he wrote the song, so if Robbie does it, I think it's going to be okay. Lastly is just, you have to listen to the song to get the feel of it. That's the groove. I don't really normally do a lot of tabs or anything for right-handed stuff. I think it's more like you got to feel it. It's like a drum. You feel that, right? Now, what's beautiful about that, as you'll probably notice, is as a singer, I can tell you, and Jason and I were just talking about this, that I did a gig last year here on Maui. It was like a 3-piece gig, and I really had a 3-piece with a saxophone, a great saxophone player that lives here on Maui, and on that gig, I had to like really focus on not only keeping the groove happening, because I didn't have keyboards, I didn't have anything else going, but also in just the simplicity and the snap and filling in where needed. And boy, what a good exercise that is in less is more. Economy of movement. And as a singer, I can tell you, and Levon would have backed me on this one, is it's so nice to have a space to sing in. From Nazareth, feeling about half past dead. You notice how it's not all like full of licks in between. There is a time for licks when the piano goes dun 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 dun. Take a load off. Take a load off. Put the load right on me. Now on that change, you're best off playing along with the record. With the vocals, put the load right on me. Okay? So I'm going to play the lick in the intro. I'm going to play a verse feel and a chorus feel and see how it all goes together. Put the load right on me. So that's kind of my take on the weight. Before I go any further, I just want to say it's a great song, written by Robbie, but it would never been the song it is if it wasn't for Levon Helm's voice, and of course all the great playing of all the members of the band: Rick Danko, Richard Manuel, Garth Hudson, and of course Levon and Robbie together. They made the band, and they were just such an iconic group of guys. I think there's a movie out, a documentary. It's called When We Were Brothers, and if you want to check that out, you'll see kind of the inner workings of the band in Woodstock with Dillon and Big Pink and all the cool stuff that was happening. But I'm going to do a little backstory on this song and my experience with playing with the band a couple of times, and I'm even going to throw in a link of a thing at Wolfgang's Vault, which is Bill Graham's a website. And I played this gig that I'm going to tell you about in just a little bit. And it was kind of an adventure and awesomeness for me. It was like I was totally blown out of the water. So. So still having some fun with The Wait by the band. I wanted to share something with you. I had an experience a while back. I'll back up a little bit, and I was with a guy named Clarence Clemens, sax player for the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. I was his musical director for a number of years, on and off over a decade. And we toured the world together. But of the many amazing experiences, and there were some stellar ones, because everybody loved the big man. That's the affectionate name for Clarence. Great sax player, great tone, and a great person, real personality. But back in 1993, when Bill Clinton was going into his presidency, they were having this big inaugural ball like they almost always do. I don't know if we're having one this year, but and so I didn't realize quite what a big deal it was, but I was glad to be a part of it. And so Clarence called me and he said, "Jimmy, we're going back to D.C." I was living in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And he goes, "You got to come back as my musical director, and you got to guide, do a bunch of stuff and guide the band through my material, and also probably play with some other people." And I'm thinking, sounds great, sounds like fun, and there'll probably be some great people there. Well, little did I know that many of my heroes were actually on site, and oh my God, what an exciting time! I remember checking in at the Helmsley Arms, a little boutique hotel. And I remember looking around and going, "Oh, this is cool." And I looked over in the corner. I said, "Is that Dr. John?" And Clarence was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, wait a minute. I think I just saw Levon Helm walk through the lobby." He goes, "Yeah, he's here. He's part of it." And then at that point, I was like, "Wow, whatever's going to happen, this will be cool." So we had some rehearsals that day, and the E Street Band was there without Bruce, but everybody else was there, and I got to play with them. And we did a thing called the Unofficial Blue Jean Bash. And that was a very cool thing. And it was in one of these kind of really huge, kind of palatial, big columns and everything kind of building. I don't even know. I think it was called the Mint. It was the Mint building in D.C. And there was a huge stage, much to do. There was a big painting in the back of the stage by Peter Max. If you remember Peter Max, he did The Yellow Submarine and all that stuff. He was there. So I walk into the thing with my guitar in hand, and I look on stage, and I couldn't believe my eyes. And it was like, there was the band. Speaking of which, The Wait. Levon on drums, and Garth Hudson on keyboards. Rick Danko was still alive then. He was on bass. And then they had some other supporting musicians, because Robbie wasn't there that day. They had the Cate brothers from Arkansas. So the point of this whole thing was sort of an homage to friends of Bill Clinton from Arkansas that he'd known on his way up as governor and whatnot. So I got on stage and I looked over, and sure enough, there on piano was Dr. John. And then we're going through all the different songs. We're practicing. I got to play with the band throughout. And this guy named Dickie Betts shows up, right, from the Allman Brothers. He plays Stormy Monday. And I look over to my left, and there's Steve Stills playing guitar on we were doing Key to the Highway. And at this point, I swear to God, everything was swirling. And I brought a couple of guitars, and finally somebody comes up to me halfway through rehearsals. He goes, "Have you got an extra guitar?" I go, "Yeah, I brought a white Strat. I got my regular Strat, and I brought a white Strat as a backup." And sure enough, some guy in a hood comes up, and he's got these wild-looking mirror shades, and he grabs my guitar. I gave it to him and made sure it was in tune. That was Bob Dylan. So Jimmy Dillon meets Bob Dylan. How's that? And so he was cool. We went through a bunch of his tunes. Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. We did Key to the Highway together. But and then we also did, I think we did a bunch of other, I Shall Be Released, which is such a great song that Dillon wrote, but the band covered, and they did a beautiful version of it. That was actually the last song we did. But what I'm getting to is about, over like a couple decades later, I thought to myself, I've got a little video, it's real scratchy, of me playing with Dillon, and we did Key to the Highway. And what was funny about that was I'm playing a slide solo, and the only part of the video that's really very clear is he's in this beautiful like purple suit, and he comes up to me, and I play a slide solo on Key to the Highway. Steve Stills is singing, and then he walks away, and then he turns around and he goes, take another one. So I took another one. So I got to play 2 slide solos on Key to the Highway, so I was really thrilled about that. And I thought to myself, gee, wouldn't it be great if someone would have somehow recorded that night of music? At least for me, anyway. I mean, these guys they're legends, and they've done all kinds of stuff. Ronnie Hawkins was there, so if you know the story of the band, the Hawk was there too. I do have pictures of myself with all those guys and Levon in a little movie, but I thought, gee, it would be even more fun if I had some music. So somebody called me and they said, dude, were you at the Blue Jean Ball at Clinton's inauguration? I go, yeah. He goes, well, the entire thing was recorded by the guy that ran the board that night. I don't know who it was. The whole night was recorded. And it's at Wolfgang's Vault, which is, of course, Bill Graham's website, where he has lots of old posters and memorabilia. So sure enough, I went and checked it out. And there's the whole information and everything and all the songs. And I'm on there playing guitar with Clarence, playing The Weight with Levon. And I got to know Levon afterwards. We actually did a couple more gigs together because he and Clarence had known each other from the Ringo Band. Okay, so he and Clarence and Dr. John and Joe Walsh were in the Ringo Band together, which is this all-star band that he tours with I think once a year. He usually does it. So that's my little story about playing. I got to say afterwards, I thought, oh my God, I can die a happy man. I played The Weight with Levon Helm singing and Clarence blowing on sax, which if you go to the link, I'm gonna send you the link of us playing together and you can check it out. Just an amazing night, and I've had many of those, and I sometimes pinch myself when I look back on how fortunate I've been to really. It's kind of been a little bit of a life of reflected glory, and I'm okay with that because I mean, playing with those guys was really transformative in terms of my understanding of space and time and just all the things that pros like that know about playing a song. And with that many people on stage, I swear, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear the space in between. Never was the problem with Levon hearing his vocals because everybody knew enough to stay out of each other's way and playing just the right amount. And I learned a lot playing with those guys. So that was a cool story about The Weight. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon. So I want to tell you all a little story about Levon Helm from the band. When I first started playing with Clarence Clemens, way back in the day, we were driving along in a limousine, doing some TV work down in Los Angeles. And I know that Clarence and Levon were good friends because they toured together with the Ringo All-Star Band. So Clarence knew that I was, a big fan of Levon's, and he was actually a hero of mine. We're riding along in the limo, and Clarence calls on his phone, and he goes, "Hey Jimmy, somebody wants to talk to you." I said, "What?" "Well, nobody knows I'm here." He goes, "Yeah, talk to Levon Helm." And I'm like, oh no. I'm like so nervous, right? One of my heroes. And it turns out there's a song called Rave Up that later became a theme song for the Howie Mandel Show that I wrote with Clarence. Kind of a rock and roll thing, a little bit, kind of like something the band might do. And I knew that Levon liked the song. He told Clarence that he liked it and liked the vibe of it. So I get on the phone to Levon and I was like, "Hey Levon." He goes, "Hey Jam, what's going on, man?" And I said, "You having fun with the big man out there on tour? I hope I get to jam with y'all." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man, anytime." And I go, "You know that song Rave Up?" He goes, "Oh, I like that song. That's a cool song, man. It rocks." And I said, "Well, I wrote that song." He goes, "You wrote that song?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, congratulations, Jam." And that was Levon in a really cool kind of down-home way. I thought that was pretty funny, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's get on to the song. I'm going to do my version of The Weight. Here we go. Pulled into Nazareth, I was feeling about half-past dead. I just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand. No was all he said. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. And we put the load right on me. and the devil walking side by side. I said, hey Carmen, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I gotta go, my friend can't stick around. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for Fanny, take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on me. Go down as Moses, where there's nothing you can't see. It's just old Luke, and Luke's waiting on the judgment day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about young Emily? Said, do me a favor, son, won't you stay and keep Emily company? Take a load off Fanny, take a load off Fanny, take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me. Crazy Chester followed me and caught me in the fall. Said, I will fix your rat if you take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, you know I'm a peaceful man. He said, that's all right, boy, just feed him when you can. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for Fanny, take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on me. Catch me a cannonball, take me on down the line. My bag is singing low, and I do believe it's time to get back to Miss Fanny. You know she's the only one. Send me here with her regardless. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for Fanny, take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me. Hear that train blowing?
I pulled into Nazareth and I was feeling about half past dead. I just need to find me some place where I can lay my head. And now, mister, can you tell me bed. You know he grinned and he shook my hand, but no was all that he said. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, and you put the load right on me.
Put the load right on me.
Picked up my bags and went a-looking for a place to hide. When I saw Miss Carmen and the devil were walking side by side, so I told her, hey Carmen, come on and let's shake it downtown. She told me, said I gotta go, but my friend can stick around. So you ought to take a load off Fanny, take a load for free, take a load off Fanny. And you put the load right on me.
Put the load right on me.
Miss Moses, there ain't nothing that you can say. You know it's Mr. C, and he's waiting on the judgment day. Tell me, big man, my friend, what about young Anna Lee? He said, do me a favor, boy, won't you stay and keep Anna Lee company? Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, hey, you put the load right on me.
Put the load right on me. Crazy Chester followed me. He caught me in the heart. He said, I'll fix your rack if you take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, I'm a peaceful man. And he said, that's okay, boy. Won't you feed it well with nothing you can do?
Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, and you put the load right on me. Get me a cannonball now to take me on down the line. You know my bags are sinking low, but I do believe that it's time to get on back to Miss Fanny. You know she's the only one.
She's the only one.
And Fanny sent me down here tonight with her regards for everyone. So you gotta take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, and you put the load right on
Let's have a big hand for Clarence Clemens.
Porky!